Welcome, fellow explorers. Here we are. We're here to talk about Greenland and your upcoming trip. That covers all our sailings to Greenland this year across three vessels, Nansen, Spitsbergen, and also Fram. We've got a very full agenda today to talk about the overview of the expeditions, what to pack, about the wildlife, science and education, communities, our excursion and activities, life on board, and also some practical information. We've taken on board your questions that you sent in before the webinar, so thank you very much for sending those. So if you are watching this live and you would like to ask some more questions, then as Lee showed, please do that, and we will pick that up at the end. We've got the A team behind the scenes collating questions and also answering as we go. So please do feel free to ask questions. I'm joined, yes, getting myself confused already. I'm joined today by Lali, who's our product manager, who lives in Greenland and Greenlandic. So we've got a real sort of on the scene expert to talk about that. Also Verena, our chief scientist, Karen, our head of VP of expedition development, that is very much Greenland's at her heart, and myself, who loves Greenland as well. Just that mix of community and the landscapes are just incredible. At HX, we very much believe in that mix of adventure, comfort, and sustainability are at the heart of everything we do. And what we mean by that is we've been sailing in Greenland since 2008, when Karen was our first expedition leader, taking Fram up and enjoying Greenland. So a wealth of experience in Karen here, but very much how we look at the destinations, and having the expertise of Lali on site really helps us deliver amazing experiences for you all. Our ships, the three ships I mentioned, are the variety from MS Spitsbergen, which we have about 140 guests, through to MS Fridtjof Nansen, just over 400. So a real mix, but the common theme is that they're all very relaxed, informal. So we really want you to feel at home, but we've got great facilities from gyms to hot tubs, lovely restaurants, and great food and team to look after you all. Sustainability is very much at the heart of what we do, and we really try and minimize our impact, whether it be on emissions, but also particularly in places like Greenland, in working with communities to ensure that we work together in partnership. So very important part of what we do. Since last October, we've gone all-inclusive. So what that means is, on a day-to-day basis, you don't have to dip your hands into your pockets, and we supply everything from our amazing drinks and our new cocktail range, through to free Wi-Fi, and some expedition equipment, which we will talk about more shortly. But I'd like to ask Lali to just, because we've got a very exciting new Greenlandic chef program on Nansen. Lali, can you tell us a bit about that, please?
Yes, we will have some local chefs on board, and they will bring the best of Greenlandic cuisine with them. And Greenlandic food is a really big part of our culture, and I look really much forward to see and hear about this experience they will serve the guests. And they will do it to show you our culture and the traditions we have here in Greenland. So I'm really, really happy that we get to give you this experience.
So as well as being able to have the experience when you're shoreside, or every evening on the ship, you'll be able to sample some Greenlandic food cooked by a local chef. So part of our commitment to the communities is also obviously sourcing food, but also working with them to share that experience. So yeah, it's going to be great. I think it's going to be fantastic. I know I've been on our vessels, other areas in the world where we've had local chefs, and it's been a great experience. So brilliant that we've got that off the mark in Greenland.
New for Greenland this year.
New for Greenland this year, exactly. Yeah. So the key areas of Greenland, and I mentioned we're covering a lot of voyages here because we're across the 3 ships. We've got the southern area, we've got East Greenland, we've got the Disco West Greenland, the Disco Bay area, and then the Northwest. So we're covering lots and lots of areas, and of course Greenland is a massive place. So it's what's the second biggest island or the biggest island in the world, Lali?
Biggest island in the world.
I'm just testing you. That's right. No, an absolutely massive, massive place. So hard to give it justice here. One of the things that does feature on all our Greenland sailings is ice. You can see in the picture behind Lali, lots of ice, and that's a mixture of. We get a lot of ice coming from the Arctic, particularly in East Greenland, and as the season progresses, that can work its way into the southern area. So in particular, Karen, I know you keep your fingers on the pulse, and we've got a picture of the most current ice charts. How do we think this may affect our voyages this year?
So what we see here is a very normal ice year in East Greenland, and you can see West Greenland is almost ice-free. So sometimes in last year, we had a lot more ice coming up from, for example, around South Cape, around Kristiansund, and up towards the southern fjords than you can see to this year. So this year is a more of a typical year where it kind of stops in the very, very southern region around Prince Christian Sound. It's going to be a little bit interesting to see how much further up, or if it just goes out and a little bit further down and into the Baffin Strait. But as we can see it now, this is more of a typical year. Last year was a more atypical year. A lot of ice came over to the west side. Yeah.
Because ice on any voyage is a highlight. We say ice is nice, but it's best avoided.
Avoid it, but don't be afraid of it either. I mean, you want to see it. You don't have to ram into it. you can be soft around ice as well. Sounds maybe contradictory, but it's
and as part of all our sailing, Lali and our itinerary planners and expedition leaders and captains will be working on, if there was disruption, a plan B. But at the moment we don't see, and I'm right in thinking, Lali and Karen, we're not seeing that there's going to be any major changes that we can see right now.
No, June departures around Prince Christiansund, as you can see on the very, very tip, might be that we can't go through the sound there, but then we just go around, and you'll see the ice as we go around. So that might be one voyage when you go from Iceland to Greenland. But as you can see, the west coast is already clear. This is very typical. Nuuk is an open port, right, Lali? You're there right now, so it's a typical year.
And what's the weather like in Nuuk today, Lali?
We actually keep having snow. I changed my car tires to summer tires, but I shouldn't have, because we still get snow once in a while. This is our spring. But getting back to the ice, we are also planning making plan B and C for NP for the Qaanaaq voyage, the first one, because there might be some ice still that far north, but we'll see.
Brilliant.
It's part of the excitement, though. We want to see the ice as well. So I mean, B and C are part of the game, part of the voyage.
Expedition voyage.
This is what it's about. And in terms of, we've had lots of questions from our fellow guests here about what to expect in terms of temperature. We're going to talk about packing list, but I thought it would be good if we talked about the temperatures first, and then that will make it relevant to what to pack. So what other temperatures our guests can expect, Lali?
It depends on where you are, but also it depends if there's a wind or not. We have a really dry air, so when you look at the Celsius temperatures, it might seem really low, but it can feel warm. So it depends and the weather changed a lot. So it's always good to have layers, and it's always good to pack for any season for Greenland. So it can be sunny. You might see some people wearing shorts and t-shirt, but it can also be really cold. So, and especially when you're close by the sea, when you're walking around, it's always good to bring layers.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point in terms of the variability of the climate. I remember, quite a few times when I've been to Greenland, been in a t-shirt at one point and then fully wrapped up like a mummy, covered.
Four seasons in one day,
Exactly.
It can be four seasons in one day.
So when we talk about packing, then we'll do that. Also, we've had lots of questions about boots. We have on board on all our ships a selection in sizes, a big selection from as you can see here, the chart, from extra small to extra large, we call them expedition rubber boots. These are, we will loan you these free of charge, and we use these for wet landings. So if you were going on one of our small boats and you're getting off the ship, and we're doing a wet landing on a beach, as in you're going to get your feet wet if you don't wear them, then we can loan you these boots. Our sailings in East Greenland are all nature landings, all wet landings.
Every day.
Every day. In West Greenland, slightly different. We definitely, depending on plan A, plan B, plan C, but we definitely have at least one wet landing. The other times we will be in communities and hikes and different areas. And Karen, you're a gear freak. What? Tell us what footwear.
The designated gear freak. So I mean, for Greenland, I would recommend a light hiking boot, because or if you have a pair of hiking boots that you are very fond of, that are well worn, even better, just bring them, because it's Greenland does not have a lot of asphalt. It doesn't have a lot of roads at all. So you can go right in the city for a little while, but then you're out in nature very quickly, very often. So I would, if you have a light hiking boot, take that, because it's a good combination between being in the city and in. But if you like your full-on hiking boots and that's what you go with that. But be prepared for those days when we are going to be in an open boat and going to do wet landings, to not use those, but to use rubber boots. So you're going to have to adapt to what activities we're doing and where we are, in order for you to enjoy it mostly. So then footwear could be a two-tier project, your own and the rubber boots.
Yeah, very good. So remember a lightweight hiking boot, or whichever hiking boot you're most comfortable with that you already have. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in our chief scientist, but she's great with what to pack on board. Verena.
Yes, for on board, I would also recommend a third pair of shoes, a comfortable pair of shoes, flat shoes. But it would be better if it does have a good grip, because the surfaces on decks may be slippery. So good to have a good grip on those too. The general dress code on our ships is relaxed and casual. You don't need to bring your long dress or your tie to go to the restaurants. Whatever you feel comfortable with, that will be the ideal clothing that you bring along. And of course, there's things that you need not to forget, like the sunblock, and your cameras and extra batteries, and a small backpack, preferably waterproof, so that your things remain dry in it. We do have a swimming pool on the Nansen and hot tubs on all three vessels. So if you want to bring your swimwear, that will be for that purpose. We also have gyms, so bring your gym clothing as well. And of course, the most important piece of equipment that you do not want to forget are your binoculars.
We've got another slide about binoculars, just because we're so mad about people bringing binoculars. Very good. And you mentioned cameras, and of course on board we have an expedition team depending on the size of the ship, but on every ship we have a professional photographer who will not only help and guide you, give you tips and tricks and the old lecture or talk on the best use of your cameras or your cell phone, but they will also take daily photographs, and we will provide you with a link to a logbook at the end of the voyage with the photographer's selection of photographs from the journey to supplement your own pictures and memories. So a really good resource to have there from as part of the expedition team. The other question we get asked a lot is what power outlets do we have on the ship in terms of charging our phones, our cameras, or computers, whatever you have. Then we are a European type power outlet, so the two pins. That's those. So if you're from the UK, you need a power adapter, or the US. But if you've got standard European, then that's what you will need. And then when we go off the ship, we try and get you off the ship as often as possible. Karen, what should our fellow guests take to prepare them for going off the ship?
Layering system. You can see so it's a kind of a 3-layer system I would recommend, because a lot of the time you are actually on board and you get the wind of the ship speed as well, which can be a chilling factor or chill factor to the temperature that you're experiencing. And if we are in ice as well, you have an extra chill factor. So I would say a base layer of wool, or whatever base layer technical wear you have. Then a mid layer with either a puff jacket or a wool sweater that, I'm Norwegian, and this group here, I think we swear to wool after all these years. So just a hint to all of you what actually works. But if you don't have that, that's also okay. It's just that you layer up. So base layer, mid layer, puff jacket or a sweater, and then the outer layer, which is normally waterproof. So you can see our jacket there. It's a very good jacket. It's got 20,000 millimeter waterproofness to it. So it means that it can hold. And then your own waterproof pants. So that's the layering system I would. And then the scarves and the buffs and the hats and all of that comes, to protect yourself.
And the expedition jackets will be issued to everybody on the first day of the sailing. Yeah. So when you join the ship, you will get the jackets.
And it's a very good jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, very good jacket. Yeah. And we mentioned here local currency. Lali, and most places now do accept cards, but local artisans that are making some incredibly great memories that you can take away with you. What would you recommend people bring? Of course, in terms of local currency.
If you like to bring currency, it's Danish kroners. For entire Greenland, we're using Danish kroners, and it's like when you're going with a taxi, going to the restaurant or big shops, they will all take credit card. But if you're going to smaller souvenir shops that are private, or the handcrafters, they will prefer to be paid by cash.
Yeah, and some places, am I right in thinking in extremists will take US dollars, but they prefer Danish kroner?
Yeah, if there's nothing else, they will take what you have and then they will exchange it afterwards, but they prefer, of course, to.
And maybe when we talk about the more of the cultural side a bit later, then maybe it might be good to bring in some of the things, because it's very much part of the culture in terms of making and carving and some incredible things, some very good keepsakes and memories that you can purchase from local artisans.
Yeah. And we've kind of also actually we've already in the past made a kind of a sum. How much cash should I bring, for you? So it's all up to each and one, but we have made a recommendation between 250 and 400 euros if you have a week-long voyage, and the stands are very there. So somewhere between 250 and 400 euros is what we recommend if you want to buy something. Yeah.
And especially the sailings on the west, where we're visiting more communities. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Where many small communities where these artisans have these even they stand they have these stands. Exactly. That's where you can't use your card.
Yeah. And when you get a whole conversation and you meet them, anyway, brilliant. Yeah. Anyway, let's not go there.
Just to give a guidance. Yeah.
We've talked about binoculars. I know we get lots of questions and technical questions about binoculars. So do we want to talk about that, Verena, briefly?
Yes, very briefly. So you can use your binoculars when you are already on board the ship. When we invite you to our deck watches, it will be a very great way to enhance your experience, to get closer to nature. And we have been asked, what are the best magnifications? Of course, if you already possess a pair of binoculars and you're comfortable with those, bring them along. If you are planning on buying a specific pair for this trip, and you are interested mostly in wildlife watching, then we recommend a magnification between 8 times to 10 times and a objective size of between 32 and 42 millimeters. This is, according to our ornithologist, the best combination that you will get to enjoy the wildlife.
And Verena, before she was chief scientist, used to work as an ornithologist and sometimes photographer, so she knows what she's talking about. Right. We just put a reminder here. We will supply you with our blue HX jacket, as we saw in the last picture. We will supply you, as required, our muck boots for wet landing, so you can see a great picture of a wet landing.
Great picture. Great picture.
And we also will supply you at landings, and also if you want to borrow some walking sticks, and we will take those ashore for you, and they will be available. So if you would like to if you want to bring your own, then of course that's okay. But we do supply those as a matter of course for you to borrow. One of the questions we also get asked is about medical information. For our Greenland all our Greenland sailings, there is no pre-voyage medical required. We do have on board our ships a medical team. On Nansen, we have a doctor and 2 nurses. And on Fram and Spitsbergen, we have a doctor and nurse. We also, please do make sure you bring your own medication. There are very limited stocks in Greenland. There's a very small population. So please make sure you do bring adequate if your prescription medication. And also please bear in mind, airlines do like to sometimes put bags on the wrong planes or just not put them on the plane at all. So if you do have prescription medication that you do need, same as traveling anywhere else in the world, please put some medication in your hand baggage.
Hand luggage, all of it.
So you make sure you're covered. I know as well, we've got lots of questions about seasickness. I think in general terms, this is very general, and I'll ask Lali and Karen to chip in and correct me, but the voyages that are along the coast, then we're in fairly protected waters, and correct. We wouldn't expect big swell or conditions. The sailings from Iceland or from Svalbard, where we are doing more ocean crossings, then you get what we're given by nature, but there is some motion. So if you do get motion sickness, then please do bring whether it be patches, pills, wristbands, or whatever works for you, but come prepared. There are our medical team can supply you with seasickness pills if required. Another question we have had is about insects. So Lali, your favorite friends, the mosquitoes, how should our guests best prepare for their trip?
bring a mosquito net and or spray because we do have a lot of mosquitoes, except in the South Greenland, because apparently the mosquitoes don't like the urine of a sheep, but we don't have sheep around the coast, so we have lots of mosquitoes during the summer. But if there's a little wind, they are not there, but yeah, you'll find them. And it's better to have a great experience with a net than not bringing.
And I think some people are more susceptible to bites, you know, and you know yourself what works, what doesn't work, but just be prepared that the mosquitoes can cause some discomfort, especially when it's really calm and conditions are shore, and the weather can change from being slightly windy to calm very quickly. So be prepared. So on the packing list, there was a picture, I'm pretty sure, of a backpack. So very good idea to bring a backpack. So you can bring your different wool layers, your sun cream, your sunglasses, but so you've just got those contained, but as well as your insect repellent if needed.
The net is important. The net.
Yeah. Very much so. You'll see now these are 3 lovely chips here in their new colours, our HX brand colours. Are very proud of our new colours as part of HX Expeditions. So you'll no longer see that red stripe, but we now have the indigo sand and white. Nansen has not been in a dry dock yet, so her hull, the base is still black, but when she does go into dry dock, she will come out in her new colours. But this is what to expect when you come to the port. But of course, we've talked a lot in terms of preparation, but of course, you know where you're going because you've bought the trip already, but it would be amiss if we didn't just talk about some of the incredible parts of Greenland and the variety from the ice scapes, the incredible geology and the wildlife. Lali, do you want to talk? We've got some slides on the culture, but in terms of the variety of the nature and the landscapes, do you want to talk inspire us being a local? Tell us what we should be getting excited about.
Yeah, so Greenland is really, really big, and it depends on where you are, of course, but we are visiting many different places. We're visiting glaciers, we'll see icebergs, we'll see huge mountains, and it's really beautiful especially when you come to the east part of Greenland. It's different kind of rocks, and you see really dramatic, tall mountains. We see that as well when you come along the west coast, but it's really different scenery that you get, and that's why it's really good to travel with HX along the sea, because you get to see so much different kind of nature, and it's really scenery, and we get really green part of Greenland in South Greenland. This is where Eric the Red, who named the country Greenland, he came to during the summertime. It's really green, and we have farmers there, and as further up you get, it gets less green, but then you get to Disco Island, which is volcanic created. This is really green as well, and we have the basaltic rocks there as well. So there's so much nature, and yeah, you'll come home with billions of pictures.
Amazing memories, and that variety across the length of the coast is incredible, and also seeing those icebergs next to sort of the green and that juxtaposition is incredible. And of course the wildlife, but Verena, in terms of some of the sort of using the binoculars, but what should our guests be looking out for? You've got to be looking to see, but what should we be looking for?
So birds, we have here tardigrade and the sea eagle as examples, but there's also a lot of smaller birds, passerine birds that are gorgeous to look at with the binoculars. There's also the muskox, which is an incredible creature, an incredible gift to have the opportunity to see them in real life. Of course, wild animals, not guaranteed that you will see them. Hence, join every opportunity on deck to be at the lookout for these creatures. There's also hares and plenty whales around the area. If you want to have a sneak peek on what kind of whales have been observed around Greenland in the months previous, just go to happywhale.com, and on the map you can focus on Greenland and see what has been observed there until now. And of course, the dogs are not native from Greenland, or they are bred in Greenland, but maybe Lali wants to talk us about a bit more about the dogs.
Yep. So the people and the dogs, we came all the way from Siberia through Alaska, Canada to Greenland. And the people were following the animals, probably the musk ox, and they probably didn't even know that they entered an island back then. So we've had several cultures coming in, disappeared, and new culture comes, and they all came from Canada. And then some of them came along the east coast and some went down through the west coast. But if you see on the east coast, we only have two towns because it's really rough weather, and they are really isolated. And then on the east coast, you see 15 other towns, and we have a lot of villages, small settlements that are approximately 35 of them. And then we have the smaller places. They don't really eat by like the supermarket because they don't get the cargo ships that often, and then they live by what they hunt. While we're here in Nuuk, the capital, that just reached 20,000 inhabitants, we are most of us will go shopping in the supermarket, and then we will add on with some of own fishing or hunting muskox, reindeer, or fish once a week. Depends on the family, of course. And then you see both traveling in Greenland, you see both some modern places and some less modern, but it depends on they adapt to the nature where they are living. So we are really sustainable. Once we catch an animal, we use everything from it, and that's why we also use the bones of the reindeer to make souvenirs. And these are mostly the ones that you would see in a souvenir shop, or the people that are selling their craft outside on a table. So it really is sustainable country, and our culture and history goes 4,500 years back, and we do have a lot of places where we still see, like, we live by hunting, as I said, and you see a lot of colorful houses, as in the picture, the left bottom picture. We have a lot of different colors. In the beginning, we started by having these colored coats. So when you're a school teacher, you will live in a red house because the school is red. And then the school teachers would mostly come from Denmark because we didn't have any educated people back then. We see the number is increasing with the education here in Greenland. But then the supermarket will be blue, and the person who was taking care of the supermarket, he will live in a blue house. And then they will build out, the town will get bigger, and the colors will be more mixed. But today, you just don't want the same color as your neighbor.
And in terms of the dogs, Lali, dogs are such an important part of Greenlandic culture and history. And at the moment, north of the circle, so when you go to Simiut and further north, then there's the husky dogs, which we see in this picture. And in the villages, the communities, there's the dogs on the spans because it's summertime. Mm-hmm. What should our guests be really careful? What should they do?
Yeah.
Or not
Yes.
to.
Back
yeah.
to the dogs. Sorry, yeah, I was so carried out. So the dogs are there are working dogs. So when you're visiting the Arctic Circle and above, we will see these kind of working dogs, the Greenlandic dogs. They are they will be standing outside and not inside, so they're not pets and they're working dogs. So don't go and feed them and don't try to pet them unless you are on. We are offering a trip in Ilulissat, an excursion where you can go and listen to a dog owner, and the dog owner might feed the dogs. And I know these dogs are okay by people are petting, but the owner has to be there. But normally we always say when you're walking around on your own, don't feed or pet the dogs. So south of the Arctic.
Yeah. Remember, they are working dogs. They're not pets. So yeah, don't feed them or pet them. Sometimes the puppies will be running around, but yeah, keep your distance because the last thing we want to do is be dealing with a dog bite. So yeah, so please.
Yeah.
So
when they're more than half a year old, they're in a chain, and the smaller ones will be running around.
Yeah. Okay, so now on the ship, of course, we're going to talk about the activities on the ship, but also off the ship we have a lot of activities. The expedition boat cruising is a staple of any trip, whether it be doing the small boat cruising or using the boats to do nature landings. We also offer an extra excursion kayaking, Karen's favorite activity. Something that we, of course, recommend. And when we do nature landings, we have those guided elements. We have the community visits, which Lali's just been talking about, the rich diversity in communities to visit, the wildlife, and also those excursions. A real big mix. On every ship, was part of the team, we have the expedition team, and every night prior to the following day's activities, there will be a presentation by the expedition team that will outline the activities for the next day. So although we have plan A, we might have to change to plan B or plan C, and that will talk through those different activities for the next day. So very important to try and take part or watch or catch up on those activities, and also through the daily program, which is on your app. So please do download the HX app before you join the ship, so you're before you travel ready to go. Science and education is very much at the heart of our expeditions, to make sure we're providing a voyage with a deep sense of meaning and purpose. And to talk us through that, Verena, our chief scientist.
Okay, thank you. Very quickly. Yes, we offer lectures on board our ships so that you get to hear everything that is to be learned about the destinations, Greenland in particular. We will try to link these lectures to more hands-on activities where we'll invite you to participate in our science center. And of course, we have already mentioned the wildlife spotting from decks. We also offer what we call our science boat, where we will invite you to join if you are interested and help us collect oceanographic data and samples for research projects that we support. If you give me the next slide, Tudor, we can also show our guests what kind of citizen science projects we support from the science boat. You see in the middle a Secchi disc, which is a very simple technique to guess abundance of particles in the water column, but don't get me there. Let's go to let's focus on the other applications that you could download prior to joining the ship, so that you are ready to participate in all of the citizen science projects that we offer. I have summarized here a few. The first two in the middle, eBird and Merlin, are for the bird lovers. Merlin is amazing. It allows you to identify identify a bird by the sound it makes. You don't even have to look at the bird to know what is singing around you. So very, very nice to start learning your birds. Then iNaturalist is an incredible app that allows you to upload absolutely anything living, and the community from iNaturalist will help you identify what you have observed. And this will also serve as a guide after your trip to remember all the things that you observed. If we manage to do a beach cleanup, then the next application will help you record what you collected. And for those who like marine mammals, we have two. I have already mentioned Happy Whale. This is a web-based citizen science project, but Orca has an app where you can upload your applications directly or your observations directly. There is one particular citizen science project that I want to highlight, or application, which is Kujata, which is an incredible app where you can learn a lot about all the archaeological sites in Greenland. So do take this one and enjoy the archaeological sites that you will visit during your trip. And our amazing team has already put a copy of this slide on the chat so that you can have access to the QR codes later. Back to you, Tudor.
Fantastic. Thanks, Verena. Yeah, very much. We encourage you to get involved during the voyage, but also before and after the voyage. So these many of these apps are applicable wherever you are in the world. And I know I'm particularly addicted to Merlin wherever I go. So very much something for you to enjoy and take away after the voyage as well. As part of our voyage, we do, particularly the voyages in West Greenland, we do have a number of excursions available. The best thing to do is book these when you are on board, because then that will be able to provide you the mix of the day's activities and walk through with the ship's teams on the voyage plan. Some are available to book beforehand. To do that, you need to go onto the webpage for the voyage, and there's this tab as indicated here to see what's available online. But Lali and team have been working really hard at pulling together lots of exciting excursions, and they're still working for these, and they'll be available for you on board. So when you get on board, talk to the expedition coordinator, as we call them, and they manage this process for you on board as part of the daily programs, and you can book those. Part of that is every day there is an included excursion, so you will be able to follow those up and balance what you want to do every day as part of the trip. We are going to move on because I'm very conscious of making sure we have time to answer your questions. As we are covering a lot of voyages, we have departures from Nuuk in Greenland, where we have guests arriving by plane from Reykjavik, Copenhagen, and New York. So depending on your bookings, then the timings of your arrival, then of course there will be a transfer to the ship, and depending on your arrival, then the team will take care of you, and that will be highlighted in your voyage documents, which you will get roughly around or 30 days or slightly closer to the voyage. So please make sure you look out for those that paperwork. And again, if you have any questions on that, then please follow up with our customer service team. And also the same in reverse then when we disembark the vessel. We also have people joining the ship in Reykjavik in Iceland, and again arriving from all sorts of different places, where we will join again the ship, a similar process. And we also have some disembarkation in Reykjavik as well. But of course, both Nuuk and Reykjavik have incredible opportunities and great capital cities to explore. Also on some of our voyages, particularly later in the season, they're departing from Longyearbyen, so not forgetting that, Longyearbyen in Svalbard, on Fram and Spitsbergen. So again, part of that, please make sure you look at your voyage documentation, and if you have any questions, you're unclear on that process, then please reach out to our customer service centres, which we know you have the details because you're in this call, but we will also remind you of those details in a couple of slides' time. Of course, preparation for a voyage and a journey and a trip of a lifetime is really important. We've talked about a bit about citizen science, a bit about the culture, a bit about what we do, but these are some of our favourite books that sort of highlight Greenland. That we've gone into history a lot more than nature here, but yeah, White Eskimo and Wanderlust are kind of related in Knud Rasmussen, of course, a Greenlandic Danish explorer. Some incredible journeys that he undertook with Peter Frauchen, highlighted in Wanderlust. Sledge Patrol and Against the Ice are books more for the East Greenland, but again, incredible journeys and incredible history. And the Naturalist Guide to the Arctic is very much a general guide to the natural history in the Arctic, but it is very apt for Greenland as well. Of course, there's lots and lots of resources on the web, films, and more books, but the more you can share and learn before you go, then of course, if you want, then you'll be able to enjoy the trip even more. On all our sailings, then you have to have a valid passport. You have to have a passport to board, and you have to have at least 6 months validity for your passport. Please check that on the visa situation. Again, we have people coming from all over the world, so please just check with your own embassy or own country's recommendations in terms of if you require a visa. It does vary, but generally very few do require a visa, but please just check and give yourself good time just to make sure. And there's so many varieties. And also just to confirm that there is no medical required for these journeys, but please, again, reminder of bringing your own medications. Around 30 days before, as I mentioned, you will get your travel documentation, which will include details of your flights, your hotels, your transfers, the meet and greet, and also your contact details for if there was anything to happen. So you will have all those. And if anything before that, as I mentioned, then these are the contact details of our customer service centres. So please do reach out either by email or by phone if you do have any further questions. But we will be taking your questions live now. I know Ollie and team have been putting questions together and also answering questions through the webinar. So hopefully we answered lots of your pre-questions, but I'm going to stop sharing screen and ask Ollie to join us. Thanks, Ollie.
Thank you, Tudor, and thank you to all of the presenters and everybody for joining today. Some fantastic content there, so very exciting heading over to Greenland shortly to get all that information, especially with Lali being local and on the ground there. So thanks, Lali, for your input today. So plenty of questions that have been answered in the chat, thanks to the team, but we have some outstanding that we'd love to pose to you guys. So first one, maybe for Karen. The gentleman says he lives in California, so the temperature difference will be relevant. The same gloves and long underwear we wear to go skiing in our local mountains, is that crazy? Should we bring that stuff, or should we go out and buy some expensive polar expedition gear?
No, don't go and buy any expensive polar expedition gear. That's not needed. So what you do for skiing, you have a lot of wind coming at you when you're going downhill there. So that will suffice. Just remember the 3-layer system.
Yeah, great.
So that you have a thin layer medium layer, and that you have the waterproof layer.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you. And then Lali, in terms of the hikes, there's a question around the average length typically of the hikes and the elevation, and the question we often get is around how kind of difficult the hikes are. So I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that, please.
Yeah, of course, it depends on where you are, but most of the hikes, there will be some easier ones, and then some hikes can be longer. But if you have your hiking boots and if you're used to hike, you'll be all good. And then if you're going on a longer hike and you don't feel you can go all the way, you can always walk back.
And generally, I'd say on the included hikes, they're designed for all sort of let's say for everyone because they've been included. So they're aimed around seeing history, culture, and seeing the highlights of an area. Whilst the excursions, the hikes, then in the excursion information, it does detail the lengths, the altitude gain. So there's a lot of information there. And again, the expedition team and the lead will be on hand to answer questions about particular hikes, and also for the included the night before, there will be a lot of information. So there is a lot of information.
But it is nature trails. Yeah. It's nature trails. It's not nature road. So when you hike in Greenland, there is not a as you're maybe used to when you hike in the US, for example, that the trails are pretty wide. They're not that in Greenland. They're not, and they're ups and downs, and they're yeah, and they're rocky in a sense. Yeah. Not very tall, or the elevation is not very high or differentiated when we hike, but it is nature trails with uneven terrain. So it's moss, it's soil, and it's rocks, and a combination of all of that mixed in. So I think that,
and the walking sticks are provided, yeah. So we've got the walking sticks.
Walking sticks are provided, but just to make you prepared to what kind of trails you're meeting here.
Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. And then there's a related question, maybe for Karin, around the fitness level you need for kayaking. Potentially, some people have never even kayaked before, and how fit do you need to be to go out in kayaks?
80-90% of our guests have never sat in a kayak before they sit in a kayak when they go with us. So that should kind of give you an idea. We are on beginner level. Yeah.
And with the kayaking, all the equipment is provided, from dry suits, flotation aids, booties, gloves. So we, and of course with professional kayak guides, and it is an incredible experience on the water.
Yeah.
So
without any sound.
And then this is a question that we often get. So Verena, this is a good one for you. What are the chances of seeing polar bears, ice bears in the summer in Greenland?
Not ice bear. You never say the word ice bear then. It's a polar bear. Don't.
Polar bear. Somebody said ice bear, but
yeah, it's not an ice bear. Sorry, guys. Everyone, it's a polar bear. Thank you. Let's get it straight before you start traveling.
Yeah. So again, the polar bear are wild animals. They are also at the beginning of the season, they will have their cubs maybe coming late out of the burrows with the cubs. So it's not guaranteed at all. And also they are dependent on ice to feed, so they will be hanging around more in the areas where we have ice, not necessarily along the west coast, since Karin has shown us how clean and open that area is from ice right now. So I would not get my hopes very high to see iceberg in Greenland.
You mean
polar bears on the east?
See iceberg.
It creeps in, that terrible word.
You'll see icebergs.
Icebergs, yes.
Yeah.
Polar bears, no.
But polar bears are concentrated on East Greenland, And
yeah.
north of in the Kanak area, when you're in the very, very northwest. But like Verena says, on the west coast,
Nope.
from Disco area down, no. Last year, very freaky year, because the ice came up from the east side and brought drifters, as we call them, polar bear drifters, but they are not there now. So you
Even
won't.
all the way down to Iceland.
Yeah, there was one, but it was because it was a kind of ice freak year. But then we call them drifters, and they stay for a little while and then they go. So West Greenland, no. East Greenland, yes. Northwest, yes. Maybe. We will be looking for them, but this is wildlife. This is
Absolutely. It's not a zoo.
It's not a zoo. No.
Okay, and
hence the binoculars.
In terms of a wildlife that you're not going to be so keen to see, the midges. Can you give any tips, one of you please, around any kind of how to protect against them? The person here has commented about a lot of repellents not being particularly effective. So any recommendations in that space and what to wear?
I think as we put on the slide, wearing long sleeve clothes is keeping covered is the main thing.
Be covered.
And if you are particularly susceptible, having a head net is you get used to it very quickly. When I get bitten, they swell up like crazy. So wearing a head net. Some of the there are in Scotland. There's a one called Smidge, which is more sort of nature based, but it's not foolproof. So having been covered up is
covered a net.
Yeah.
Great. And Lali, there's some interest in the local craft, and that's, I'm sure a lot of people will be keen to support the local economies when they're visiting the cultures. Is there any limitation on how much you can take out of the country is the question? And I wonder as well, like, is there a kind of rough costs and like budget people should think about in terms of like what currency they take?
I think it depends on where you come from, because like for sealskin, you can't bring sealskin to the States, I know, and there are some of the craft that might need site documents. So I know that once you're there, wherever you are buying the souvenirs, ask for if they need any site proofs with the whatever they buy. But as I said, most of the guests will buy reindeer from the reindeer atlas. The souvenirs from that, they are free to take. You don't need any sites or anything for those.
I was just going to add, just so people understand what you're saying when you're saying sites. It's CITES, which is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species and Wildlife and Fauna. So in a lot of the markets, and I know in Simiut, in the craft market, then they do the local producers are really good at detailing, and if needed, providing a CITES certificate that it's from a carving in a reindeer tusk or antler. Sorry. So but it is worth checking with your home country. And as you mentioned, Lali, sealskins into the States they don't like. So do check, and the local manufacturer, the craftsmen can provide CITES certificates generally. From my experience.
There's also a question about, can they bring school supplies to donate to the smaller communities as well? So
that's really nice, and they always love when they bring gifts to the kids, especially, and there are schools everywhere. And when you visit smaller places like Itisuk or small settlements, school are really limited on supplies. So like even pencils are really nice to as a gift.
Notebooks too.
So they're always really happy when the guest brings any gifts. It's
crayons, pencils.
So yes,
things that are easy to pack. that doesn't take a lot of volume as well.
Yeah,
We have to
makes sense.
be kind of conscious of people having to schlep it around as well. Yeah,
Great.
but very, very welcome.
Yeah. And interesting question. Are there many shopping opportunities on East Greenland? I don't
Zero.
know.
Okay, that
Not the
is
most built-up place.
yeah, well, that is a truth with modifications, because there is one opportunity if we make it to Etokotormet, and that is a community I would recommend everybody to spend money in, because they are so isolated. So the artisans there, they use the whole winter to create whatever you can buy. So if you want to spend something, spend it there. Yeah. So there will be one community on the East Greenland.
For the souvenirs, yes, but for like the supermarket, grocery, please don't, because they only get cargo ship twice a year.
Yeah.
So it's a big party once the cargo ship comes after 8 months of winter season, and they are running out of everything every year. So please don't, if you feel like having a snack, wait till you get to the
ship. Yes.
To the ship, we have it on the ship.
Yeah.
In the souvenir shop there.
Great. Conscious we've slightly run over. We'll do a couple more questions. Just on the excursions, is the recommendation that people book on board rather than ahead of the cruise? That's probably one for Lali to take.
As we mentioned, it's possible to book some of them, but especially this year, we started a lot of new partnership with new suppliers that needed to fill out documents and stuff before we could put them on the web. So there are a lot of excursions that are not available on the webpage. So I think it will be best to wait, and then you get to plan every day ahead of the next following day in another place. The expedition team will always provide with what are we visiting, what are optionals, and what are included. So you get to make your own day. And I think it will be easiest to do that if you book everything once you're on board. If you have booked some of the excursions, the expedition team will, of course, make sure that it fits into whatever you want to add on once you're on board.
And on some excursions, they will ask, like 3 days before will be the deadline, because they need to communicate with the local suppliers just to the numbers. So that will be clearly communicated on board. Yeah.
Brilliant. And then this is often a common question as well, but Tudor, do we have blackout blinds in the cabins given the lighting? And
we do. We have blackout blinds and curtains, and I was amiss. We didn't say the temperature on board, but our engineers love to control the temperature on the ship. It's around, I was going to remember, it's like about 20 degrees Celsius, about 70 degrees Fahrenheit on board the ship. But so very comfortable on board.
Brilliant. Thank you all very much for joining today. Very much appreciated. Thank you to the panelists. The final thing that remains is just to ask you to please complete the survey that will pop up on your screens, just so that we get the feedback on the webinar today. But we're looking forward to welcoming you on board very shortly, and hope you have a fantastic expedition with HX. Thank you.
Welcome on board.
Welcome on board.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.